I never imagined a simple act of kindness would lead to a heartbreaking revelation. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It started with a flutter of hope, a voice in my head urging me to reach out, to do something good. My heart raced as I watched the rain pour down, drumming against the window like a frenzied drummer in a wild storm. I could see her there, an old lady hunched under the weight of her bags, caught between the downpour and the unforgiving street. Her eyes met mine. They were deep and sad, reflecting a lifetime of stories, dreams, and losses. I could feel my pulse quicken. Without thinking, I threw on my raincoat and stepped outside. The world was a blur, colors mingled in the mist. The scent of wet asphalt and fresh earth enveloped me. I rushed towards her, my heart pounding like a drum. "Let me help you," I called, my voice barely audible over the roar of the rain. As I reached her, something caught my gaze. Silver locket nestled in the folds of her coat. It shimmered, almost beckoning. A warm rush of empathy washed over me as I took the bags from her trembling hands. She looked at me with such gratitude that it sent a shiver down my spine. But then, in that moment of kindness, something shifted. The air grew thick with unspoken words. She hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. "You remind me of someone." Her gaze lingered on the locket. My heartbeat quickened, confusion swirling inside me. Who could I possibly remind her of? As we walked, I learned her name was Agnes. Her hands trembled as she shared bits of her life, each word a brick in the wall of sorrow around her heart. She spoke of her son, lost too soon, the grief spilling from her like a broken dam. I felt my own chest tighten, a lump forming in my throat. "I'm so sorry," I muttered, unable to find the right words. But then she paused. There was a strange flicker in her eyes, a knowing that sent an icy chill through me. "Do you want to see?" she asked, pulling the locket from her coat. The shiny surface glinted, revealing a picture inside. My breath caught. It was a boy with the same smile as mine. My heart dropped. "That's my son, and I can see it in your eyes." Panic surged through me. How could this be? She had to be mistaken. In that moment, the world around us faded, the crowd, the rain, everything dissolved into a hazy background. I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. Who was this woman? Why did I feel such a connection? The warmth drained from my body, replaced by a cold dread. Just then, a voice broke through my thoughts, drawing my eyes back to her. "You have to understand," she started, but I couldn't hear her over the pounding in my ears. My mind raced with questions, each one sharper than the last. What did she know? What did I not? I stood there, closer to her than I'd ever been to anyone, yet miles apart. My heart thudded painfully. The rain fell harder, blurring the outline of her face. I wanted answers, but all I felt was the weight of a truth that loomed large, threatening to break me. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The rain continued to hammer down around us, each droplet a reminder of the heaviness in the air. I could feel Agnes's gaze pinning me in place, anchoring me to the moment. The world spun, painted in the hues of my confusion, yet her eyes held an unfathomable depth that dared me to peer into unknown waters. "Do you want to understand?" she asked, her voice quivering like the leaves in the wind. "Please, let me explain." A lump lodged deeper in my throat, growing tighter with every beat of my racing heart. I nodded, though I didn't trust my voice to respond. Nothing could compare to the tempest rolling within me. My thoughts tangled with despair and dread, yearning for clarity. Carefully, she opened the locket wider, the silver framing the faces like a fragile frame of decades past. This was taken years ago, before everything changed. I could see the edges of a photograph worn thin by time, revealing a playful boy with bright, innocent eyes that mirrored my own. Memories I couldn't place surged forth, overwhelming in their familiarity. "My son's name was Samuel," Agnes said, her breath trembling like a fragile leaf in a storm. "He was a vibrant spirit, until a choked sob slipped from her lips, and she pressed a fist against her trembling mouth, suppressing the flood of emotions that threatened to overwhelm her. That I stood, rooted in my dilemma, every word she spoke carving out a festering uncertainty. Samuel? The name echoed in my mind like a distant melody, haunting yet sweet, a whisper that barely brushed against my consciousness. What was happening? Was I truly connected to this woman, to this past shrouded in shadows? It's not just the likeness, Agnes continued, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. It's your spirit. You laugh like him, carry yourself like him. You're a piece of him still somewhere out in this world. The unspeakable tether between us rushed to the surface, pulling tight around my chest. No, I gasped, my throat constricting. That can't be. I stumbled back, unable to define the layers of truth encasing her words. I don't even know you. Her hands shook as she gripped the locket tightly, her knuckles paling. I didn't even know where to find you. I never thought. I thought he was gone for good. The tremor in her voice shattered my defenses. Shards of clarity pierced through, igniting the aching void inside my heart. Desperation seeped into her features. But I've searched for answers for years. The day I found you outside that cafe, she halted, her eyes glistening with a mix of hope and despair. It was like seeing a ghost of my past. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. I wanted the rain to wash away the torrent of revelation, to erase the invisible line connecting me to her pain and memories. Yet there was solace in her despair, a connection I didn't fully understand. Perhaps she held the missing pieces of a puzzle I had been trying to solve since the day I became aware of the chasm in my own history. Just then, as if the universe groaned under the weight of our anguish, my phone buzzed wildly in my pocket, cutting through the tension. I fumbled to grasp it, hoping for a distraction from the storm of emotions racking my soul. The screen lit up, revealing a message that made my heart stop, and my breath hitched as I read the words. I know about Agnes. Meet me. The sender remained anonymous, and with dread pooling in my stomach, I glanced back at Agnes. I have to go, I whispered, my voice trembling, my heart an erratic drum. Please. Her voice reached out, a desperate cry threaded with anxiety. Don't leave me. But the pull of the unknown gripped my every sense. The need to understand surged stronger than the bond we shared in that moment. I was torn between the two, the gentle soul seeking resolution and the figure cloaked in secrecy who beckoned me to confront the labyrinth of my past. Everything felt too heavy, too much. As I turned and faced the deluge surrounding me, I was struck by the chilling reality. The storm within was far greater than the one outside. The ground beneath me shifted, an unsettling reminder that the truth lurked just beyond reach, waiting for me to confront it. I took one last look over my shoulder. Agnes stood alone, the fading outline of her figure melding with the rain-soaked world, a silent plea threaded into her gaze. And then, without another word, I stepped into the churning embrace of the storm, my heart both heavy and flickering with the faint light of hope that clung to the edges of uncertainty. The rain lashed against me, an unyielding force as I made my way through the labyrinth of streets that felt both foreign and familiar. Puddles formed like miniature lakes at my feet, reflecting the chaotic dance of shadows and flickering streetlights above. My mind warred between the urgent need to unravel the enigma of my connection to Agnes and the chilling message that tugged at my sleeve that I arrived at the dimly lit cafe where we had first crossed paths, the place that had been mere backdrop to my swirling thoughts before it turned into a nexus of inexplicable truth. The scent of roasted coffee hung heavily in the air, but all I could taste was the bitter bile of uncertainty. Peering inside, I scanned the room, searching for anyone who might beckon me into the depths of this tangled web. Then, in a corner shrouded in shadows, I recognized the figure. A woman, cloaked in a long wool coat, her features obscured by the low light, sat quietly with a coffee steaming between her hands. Anxiety pooled in my stomach, forming a knot I couldn't shake. With hesitant steps, I approached, fully aware that I was standing at the threshold of revelations that could shatter the fragile sense of self I had built. Sit down, she instructed, her voice eerily calm. It was a command, throbbing with authority, as if she had been waiting for this moment, while the world outside continued its chaotic dance. What do you know about Agnes? I blurted, my voice betraying what I wished to portray: calm, collected determination. A slight smile curved the edges of her lips, one that held neither warmth nor malice. Not about Agnes specifically, but I know about you, she replied, her eyes catching the soft light as if they were portals to another world. They told me you'd be curious, that you'd want answers. Who are you? I asked, feeling the tremors of doubt ripple through me. What do you want? She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. I want to help you understand the choices that were made. And more importantly, why they were made. Her eyes flicked towards the window, where raindrops traced patterns against the glass. Your life is entangled with others far beyond what you've realized. That I shivered, her words cutting deep, a bitter taste forming at the back of my mouth. What choices? What are you talking about? There are truths hidden in plain sight. Connections forged in love, loss, and regret. Agnes is one piece of the puzzle, but she is not the whole picture. An odd mixture of intrigue and unease arose within me. Would understanding bring me solace or further torment? Questions buzzed around like a swarm of bees, and I desperately wanted to swipe them away. Why should I trust you? I snapped, the need to protect what little I had deepening the edge of my instinctive defense. With an unexpected gentleness, she placed her hand over the coffee cup, steam curling upwards between us like ghosts. Because I know your story. I know you've been searching for something you can't quite name. You feel the absence, the pull, just like Agnes does. There's no escaping your truth. That I gazed at her, searching for any sign of deception, a flicker of unsteadiness in her demeanor, but found only an unwavering conviction that both frightened and fascinated me. What is it? What is the truth? Your name, she said softly, is more than just a label. It's a tether to a history you don't remember, but desperately need to reclaim. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. You're Samuel, and Agnes, she is your mother. The room dimmed further. The vibrancy of everything around me warped into shades of gray as the air constricted around my lungs. Samuel? The name felt like a dagger, burrowing deep, carving a fissure between heart and mind, between who I thought I was and who I might truly be. I gasped, shaking my head, as if to ward off the terror fast approaching. I can't. This is impossible. It? She challenged, her voice steady, yet laced with compassion. You possess his laughter, his light, and yet you are haunted by a void. These pieces are parts of you, waiting for recognition. All I could hear was the thunder of my heart, thudding like a drum of disbelief. But Agnes, she said he was gone. How could I be? Because the truth is seldom as simple as we think. Life twists in ways that can shatter even the strongest of bonds. She leaned back, her gaze piercing through the haze of my confusion. Samuel did not vanish. You were taken, shielded from a world that sought to divide and conquer. You were meant to be protected. But protection came at a price. In one swift moment, time stopped threading the needle of my reality. My thoughts spiraled, and my heart began to race as chaos filled the space where truth and disbelief clashed violently. Every breath quivered with fragments of memory I couldn't grasp, every pulse ignited by questions that bled into my consciousness. Why? How? Just then, the woman leaned in closer, her voice a mere whisper. Agnes is not the only one searching for you, and neither is anyone else who wishes to uncover the depth of your hidden past. They're coming for you. Euphoria collided with dread, surging through me like a storm. I needed to flee, to escape both the torment of truth and the darkness that encroached around me. I could help you understand everything, but you must decide quickly if you truly wish to dig deeper. Her gaze didn't waver, and desperation churned within me, a riptide pulling me under. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, the door to the cafe swung wide, and a sharp gust of wind barreled in, bringing with it the unmistakable scent of rain-soaked resolve. A figure emerged, a familiar silhouette drenched and weary, whose very presence sent shockwaves of recognition through my veins. Wait! I shouted, my heart racing with urgency. What is this? But before the word could fully leave my lips, the world around me inexplicably shifted once more, as the answer I sought crested the horizon with undeniable clarity. What came next could change everything: my history, my present, and ultimately, my future. The rain fell with renewed intensity, each drop cascading against the cafe window, a drumroll preparing the world for something monumental. My heart raced, a frantic metronome keeping time with the breathless anxiety swelling inside me. The silhouette that stood in the doorway sharpened as the figure stepped into the dim light. It was a man, his face obscured by the shadows that still clung to him like a shroud. Yet, even in the murk, familiarity hit me like a freight train. "Samuel," he called, his voice striking a chord deep within me, resonating with a truth I dared not acknowledge. "Do I know you?" I barely managed to inquire, my throat tightening. "More than you realize," he replied, his eyes earnest as they glinted in the half-light, an unexpected warmth rising from their depths. "I'm David." Something within that name shattered the fragile fabric of my thoughts. Instinctively, my mind reeled backward through time, sifting through the hidden recesses to unravel the tapestry that defined us both. The years I had lived without knowing felt like a gaping chasm that stretched between us, threatening to swallow me whole. "You knew my father?" I could barely form the sentence as my emotions roiled, each word drawing me deeper into the weight of familiarity clouded by uncertainty. "Yes," he breathed, taking just one step closer. "We were friends, and I've been searching for you just like your mother, like Agnes. I didn't know if I'd ever find you, but I had to try." His words washed over me like the rain outside, glistening with both hope and unimaginable sorrow. The uncertainty of my origins had always felt like a knife at my back, an unseen force driving me toward this fragmented revelation. But why? Why now? Why did no one tell me? "Because they were scared," David said earnestly, his expression shifting to one of shared pain. "We didn't know how you would react. Your life has been wrapped in protection that felt like a prison." I cut him off, the bitterness in my voice sharp enough to slice through the tension. "What kind of protection takes away my identity? Makes me feel lost." "I know it's difficult," he replied, his voice dipping into the realm of empathy. "But please, believe me, we thought it was for the best. We wanted to shield you from those who would exploit your power, who would see you as a threat. They think you're still vulnerable, that you don't know who you truly are." I shook my head, battling against the pull of uncertainty. And what if I never wanted to be part of that world? What if I just want to live? The words hung heavily between us, laden with the weight of longing and unrelenting pain that a flicker of hope ignited in his eyes. "Then you will find a way. But it starts with understanding your past. Ignoring it won't keep you safe." His voice deepened, drawing me into a gravity I couldn't ignore. "You must trust someone in this storm, Samuel. You have to make a choice." The woman across the table, whose quiet intensity one had almost forgotten, watched the unfolding moment with unfathomable grace. "You have the power to reclaim your truth and change your fate, if you wish to take it," she murmured, her expression gentle yet resolute. Suddenly, a sense of urgency crashed over me. While I needed to unravel the cover of my past, another part of me yearned to flee, to hide from the very truths that threatened to engulf me. How do I even begin? The question felt monumental, stretching between fear and desire like an insurmountable chasm. David opened his mouth to respond. The warning chime of the cafe door shattered our moment, a bell tolling a foreboding reminder of what lurked outside these walls. An unfamiliar figure emerged through the rain-slicked glass, cloaked in darkness. A shudder swept through me, as dread pooled heavily in my stomach. "Samuel, we need to get out of here," David urged, urgency lacing his gaze. "They found us." "Who?" My voice trembled, every syllable an echo of disbelief. "Those who would stop at nothing to keep you from the truth. They've come for you. I promise, I will help you. But we must go." Panic surged through me, intertwining with the threads of revelation and sadness that had become my reality. The cafe that once felt like a refuge was now teetering on the edge of danger. Just as I stood, the door swung wide, revealing a face I recognized all too vividly from the fragmented memories that launched me into this unforgiving journey. "Samuel," she shouted, a desperate urgency threaded through her tone. It was Agnes, her eyes wild with fear. "You have to come with me. It's not safe." My heart thumped painfully against my ribcage, caught in the midst of a perfect storm of emotions. Longing for the connection I had craved, fear of the truth that might slip away again, and now, an undeniable sense of peril edging closer. Each moment crystallized in the air like suspended rain, threatening to fall either as a cleansing revelation or a dark omen. Before I could answer, I caught David's eye, who nodded subtly but firmly, his presence a firm anchor amidst the chaos that was brewing. Do you trust me? He pressed quietly as the tension tightened around us, pinching my heart with every beat. I in that fragile heartbeat. Everything I had relied on felt as though it could crumble, but the only way forward was through this winding path now laid bare before me. No more running. I exhaled, steadying myself. Yes, I replied, adrenaline surging through me. Let's find the truth. The choice was made, but as I spun toward Agnes and saw the shadows loom heavy behind her, realization struck like lightning. A door had opened, but it was leading not only into the heart of answers, but perhaps toward an even greater betrayal than I could have ever anticipated. With a rush of sensation, I took a step into the unknown, haunted by the shadow of my own history, unsure of the journey that lay ahead or the scars that had yet to unfurl. And just as I crossed the threshold into the rain-soaked night, the chilling words echoed in my mind. The truth was not what we feared, but that the heart can sometimes reveal itself in the most breathtakingly heartbreaking ways. The rain intensified, each drop a reminder of how quickly everything could change. My feet splashed against the slick pavement as we fled into the swirling chaos of the city. David and Agnes flanked me, their presence both a shield and a burden I hadn't asked for. The echoes of our hurried footsteps reverberated in my mind, a panicked rhythm that paralleled my racing heart. Where are we going? I gasped, forcing the words through labored breath. Fear clung to me like a second skin, and I fought against the rising tide of uncertainty. To a safe place, Agnes replied, her voice steady despite the palpable tension. Just a little further. With each stride, I could feel the weight of a secret pressing against my chest, tighter with each passing breath. David's earlier assertion about the dangers lurking behind us twisted like a knife. Who are they? I breathed out, gaze darting around us as shadows danced in the periphery of my vision. People who want to manipulate your power for their own gain, David interjected. They don't care about your well-being, only what you could provide for them. The truth of his words stung like a bitter wind, but there was something deeper thrumming beneath my skin. What power? I whispered, a thread of confusion beginning to tug at the fraying edges of my reason. Just me. Samuel, you are so much more than that, Agnes insisted, a fierce conviction behind her eyes. You are the key to something greater than any of us could comprehend, something they'll do anything to control. That I stumbled, feeling the world teetering on its axis. But why me? I'm not special. The confession spilled out, raw and unrefined, but real. I've been living a lie, and now I'm just running from it. Perhaps the true lie was how you've been kept in the dark, David said softly, his voice soothing against the cacophony of doubt ricocheting in my thoughts. Facing your truth is the only way to break free from the chains that have bound you. The city blurred around us, rain-soaked sidewalks and flickering lights blending into a surreal backdrop. For the moment, I stood on the precipice of my own awakening. I could feel the weight of their words settle in. The icy grip of fear was tempered by flickers of possibility. Like small embers amidst the storm, we ducked into a narrow alley, the noise of the city muffled into a distant roar. But just as we stopped, a chilling feeling crawled up my spine. Without warning, a figure emerged from the shadows, tall, hooded, cloaked in an aura of malice that sent a wave of nausea coursing through me. David, Agnes hissed, stepping protectively in front of me, her stance fierce yet shaky. It's okay, David assured, though the tension coiling in his body suggested otherwise. Let's just talk. The cloaked figure paused, their breath visible in the stifling air, like fog escaping a dragon's maw. You think you can hide him from us? Their voice was gravelly, echoing with a menacing authority that sent a jolt of fear through my veins. You're running out of time. We've come to collect. My heart raced. What did they mean? My mind reeled with thoughts of what being collected would mean, visions dancing unbidden of cages and chains wrapped around my identity, trapping me in the very visceral truth I had been trying to escape. Samuel, David whispered, urgency flooding his voice. We need to move. Now. But my body felt paralyzed, fear rooting me in place. As if sensing my plight, Agnes reached out and clasped my arm, her grip grounding me in the chaos swirling around. You have to trust us, she said fiercely. You can't let them take your power away. The tension hung in the air, thick enough to slice through, as the cloaked figure stepped closer. "You think you can outrun us?" They taunted, a chilling smirk cutting through the shadows. "You're not even aware of what's coming for you." And then, like a crack of thunder, something inside me ignited. I couldn't merely react any longer. I had to confront what lay ahead. "I won't let you control my life any longer," I shouted, the words erupting with a newfound defiance that felt foreign yet rousing. With that declaration, I dashed past Agnes and David, hearts pounding as I bolted back out into the rain, every dark shadow a threat, but now a part of my path. There was a power surging within me, a voice clamoring to be heard amid the din of chaos. I could no longer remain passive, shrouded in ignorance. Behind me, I heard the frightened calls of David and Agnes, urging me to return, but the adrenaline propelled me forward, pushing me toward an unfolding destiny. Just as I rounded a corner, I felt something sharp graze my shoulder, a fleeting touch of ice that sent ripples of awareness racing across my skin. Instantly, I stumbled and twisted around, my heart constricting as I faced the cloaked figure, whose hand glowed with a pulsating light. "You cannot escape who you are, Samuel," they hissed, twisted pleasure glimmering through their gravelly voice. "You'll come back to you some way or another." The world around me shattered. The rain crystallized into a haze of terror and realization. I hadn't just stepped toward my truth. I had also stepped into a web of darkness, an unrelenting pursuit that could ultimately unravel everything I thought I knew. What did they mean by power? What did they expect from me? And as the icy chill of uncertainty seeped into every fiber of my being, a sudden truth gripped my heart. This was only the beginning, that I could feel the weight of my heritage bearing down, ready to erupt into chaos at any moment. But it wasn't just fear that propelled me. It was the flickering ember of hope ignited in the darkest places. Perhaps in this storm of uncertainty, there existed a path toward not just survival, but also acceptance. But as the shadows stretched like a second skin around me, I knew I was already too far gone, inches away from something unfathomable, and the journey that awaited would demand everything I had. The storm of my history loomed above, and engulfing truths awaited just ahead, like a flash of lightning illuminating the darkness, beautifully promising, yet heartbreakingly terrifying. The night air was a tempest, swirling chaos blending with uncertainty as I dashed deeper into the city's labyrinth. Each step was a mix of trepidation and the fierce hope ignited within me, the shadows cradling dark truths that awaited exploration. I plunged into an unfamiliar side street, my senses sharpened, every rustle and footstep igniting my fight-or-flight response. My heart drummed against my ribs, its rhythm urging me to keep moving, to escape the clutches of those who sought to snatch away the very essence of who I was. But what am I? A question echoing endlessly, layering itself like the rain pouring around me. Just then, I stumbled into a small, scantily lit cafe. The warmth within was a stark contrast to the chilling fears outside, stirring something delicate inside me. The scent of fresh coffee wrapped around me like a comforting blanket. A solitary figure sat in the far corner, the light casting a soft glow on their features, an older woman whose eyes sparkled with understanding, as if she could see the tempest within me. She looked up as I entered, offering a gentle smile that immediately cut through the chaos swirling around me. "You look like you need a place to breathe," she said, her voice soothing, an anchor in the storm. For a moment, I hesitated. Panic bubbled against the surface of my resolve. Then, she gestured to the empty seat across from her, an invitation that felt more like a lifeline. I slid into the chair, tension unwinding ever so slightly in the warmth of the cafe's soft glow. "Thank you," I murmured, looking down at the tabletop, where my hands trembled slightly. I took a breath, unsure of how to articulate the maelstrom that had become my life. "In being chased?" "Chased?" Her brow furrowed slightly, but her gentle smile did not waver. "By shadows or by memories?" "Both," I admitted, the truth spilling out in a raw rush. "There are people trying to control me, to take something I don't even understand." She nodded, her expression shifting to one of empathy. "Sometimes it feels like we're running from our own shadows, doesn't it? But remember, even the darkest night will end, and light will break through." The words tugged at a flickering flame in my chest, resonating fiercely. I nodded, swallowing the lump forming in my throat, and for the first time since fleeing, I felt seen. "Who are you?" I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "I am someone who has fled from fears of her own," she replied, her eyes steady as they held mine. "And now, my past has brought me here to remind you that you are not alone." Her presence was startlingly calming, yet a sharp pang of longing filled me, a yearning for connection amidst suffering. "What if I can't escape them?" I questioned, emotions unraveling. "What if they find me and take everything I am?" A flash of compassion crossed her face, and she leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Never forget that there is strength in vulnerability. You possess a power born from truth, and it is in those shadows that you will discover your light." I took a breath, mulling over her words, the possibility of new understanding weaving itself through my scattered thoughts. Yet the sense of dread lingered like an unwanted guest. "But what if the truth is too much to bear?" She stepped back and poured me a small cup of steaming coffee, a simple act of kindness that felt monumental. "Then, my dear," she said, handing it to me, "you embrace it, no matter how painful. Sharing that burden is the only way to carry it." Just then, a sudden crash echoed outside, loud enough to pierce the veil of calm that blanketed the cafe. My heart raced again, instinctively scanning the entrance. Panic flared as I recognized the imposing figure standing in the doorway cloaked in familiar shadows. Their gaze scanned the room with a chilling determination, zeroing in on me like a predator closing in on its prey. "Samuel," the figure called out, their voice laden with an ominous familiarity. Fear seeped into my veins, quickening my breath as I instinctively tucked into my seat, seeking refuge. The older woman's hand darted across the table, squeezing mine with surprising strength. "You're stronger than you realize," she urged quietly. "Find that strength before they find you." Suddenly, the air grew thick with expectation as the cafe fell eerily silent. I felt the walls closing in, the weight of choice pressing heavily on my chest. In one moment, I could choose to remain hidden, cloaked beneath the veil of anonymity, or I could rise to face whatever darkness had come to claim me. My thoughts raced, a tempest all my own, battling against the chilling presence of the figure just outside. "Why me?" I whispered, the words a desperate, fervent plea. The woman leaned closer, and her gaze was unwavering, steady against the storm. "Perhaps because you are meant to change everything," she said, her voice mirroring the whisper of hope that emerged amidst fear. "But you must first confront the shadows within." Just then, the figure stepped forward, their icy gaze locking onto mine with a terrifying certainty. The world shifted beneath me, the warmth of the cafe becoming an impossible sanctuary against the encroaching darkness that I had no choice but to act, to awaken the dormant power within that ignited layers of fear and desperation. But as dread unfurled its grip on my heart, the vital question pulsated through me once more: was I truly ready to embrace what I could become? A heartbeat later, the cloaked figure's unsettling smile twisted my vision, tinged with a haunting familiarity that sparked recognition and cold dread. In that instant, I knew that the confrontation looming on the horizon was no longer just a battle against them. It was a reckoning with everything I had hidden, a shocking revelation. Yet to unfold the depths of my own identity lay on the precipice, teetering between salvation and darkness. And as the shadows lengthened around me, I felt an electric charge zap through the air, propelling me further into the storm, closer to the truths waiting to unravel, teasing their way to the surface as I drew nearer to whatever awaited me beyond the door. The quiet hum of the cafe fell silent as the door swung wide, the unruly night rushing in, carrying with it a glimpse of chaos that shattered the peace I had momentarily found. The figure stepped further inside, their presence swallowing the warmth whole. My heart slammed against my ribs, a frantic drum echoing in my ears, as all thought of kindness and refuge faded into thin air. "Samuel," they repeated, the name dripping with a sinister familiarity that sent chills cascading down my spine. I lost myself momentarily within the folds of my own mind, grappling for recollections that would paint the figure into a clearer light. Was this person truly someone from my past, or belonged they to the dark narrative hunting me? "Stay here," the older woman whispered with urgent intensity, her reassuring grip tightening around my hand. For the first time since I had met her, I felt the weight of her presence not just as a sanctuary, but as a shield. The dining room erupted in anxious murmurs, patrons shifting uncomfortably in their seats, glancing nervously to one another as the tension thickened. The figure remained unmoved, eyes burning as they searched the room like a predator scouring for its prey. Every second that passed felt eternal, dragging dread across my skin. I longed to sink into the warm embrace of understanding that came so easily from the woman beside me, yet I was starkly aware that whatever this confrontation was, it was mine to engage. "Do you know them?" I whispered, desperate not to shatter the fragile calm she offered. "Yes," she replied quietly, casting a quick glance toward the figure before turning back to me. "But I also know you've come so far already. Don't let the past dictate your future." Her words fought against the wave of fear that crashed over me, yet something deeper tugged at my consciousness, a mix of recognition and resentment. I lifted my gaze to the figure standing at the threshold, the aura around them so familiar it was intoxicating. My breath hitched as I felt the ground beneath me shift ever so slightly. "Samuel," they called out again, a strange coaxing lilt permeating the word. "We've missed you." At that moment, something shattered in me. A memory flickered through the haze of unease. A laugh shared at twilight, the half-formed promises of camaraderie. My pulse quickened as strands of a past life began to unsnarl. Faces buried deep within my mind began to weave themselves together, and I realized this figure was not just an enemy. They were a remnant of the life I had fled. In a primal rush, I stood, my body betraying the fear coursing through me, propelled by the gravity of their very presence. "What do you want?" I demanded, the tremor in my voice masked by courage that felt foreign but necessary. They stepped further into the cafe, tilting their heads slightly, as though savoring the moment. "Let's not play games, darling. You belong with us." "What you call belonging, I call a prison," I snapped back, surprising even myself with the fervor of my words. The older woman's hand remained firmly anchored on mine, reminding me that there was still a connection to humanity amidst this chaos. "How naive you are, Samuel. You have no idea of the world waiting for you. The power you can wield with your rightful place by our side," they replied, their voice sliding smoothly over my skin, a haunting reminder of temptations I thought I had outrun. But what power lay within me? The thought flitted past like a fleeting shadow. The answer eluded me, cloaked beneath layers of unaddressed emotion and fear. "My power isn't meant for anyone but myself," I countered, though doubt crept like a thief into my bravado. "Did I guess it?" they asked sharply, eyes narrowing with sly challenge. "How can you claim to know yourself if you're choosing to forget where you came from? They're inevitable, Samuelus. Your essence is tied to the very shadows you are trying to escape." As they spoke, my resolve wavered like the flickering candlelight illuminating tables shattered by uncertainty. Could I truly sever the bond to a past that had twined around me for so long? The camaraderie, the anthem sung under the stars, was that really something I wanted to cast aside for a life of unknowns? With a steely focus, I locked eyes with the figure, feeling the weight of a decision beginning to crystallize. Something gnawed at my heart, a sense of belonging that fought against the bitter remnants of betrayal. Their smile widened, feeding off the chaos they sowed in my heart. "Come home, Samuel. It's your destiny." Just as I opened my mouth to respond, my thoughts washed over me like a raging river, clarity clashing with confusion. The woman beside me spoke then, her voice breaking through my turmoil. "You are not your past. Do not let them dictate who you are. The choice is yours." My gaze darted between the looming figure and the woman who had offered me solace amidst the storm. Suddenly, everything felt palpable, the air thick with impending decisions, as if the universe itself suspended time to urge me forward. Before I could gather another thought, the cafe doors swung shut as if a chapter was sealing itself away. The figures steadied their gaze upon me, and the revelations that tangled through my being whispered, what if the power I sought was waiting to be embraced rather than denied? But in that vulnerable moment, before clarity fully dawned, the light above flickered then blacked out, plunging us all into darkness. A scream echoed from the crowd, voices merging in confusion and fear as chaos erupted within the cafe. And in the enveloping blackness, I felt the surge of light within me, battling against the suffocating shadows. In the depth of confusion, the age-old question reverberated through my mind, once more, who was I really? As I swept my surroundings for hope, I saw its slightest outline of a figure against the backdrop of the chaos, illuminated, waiting to guide me into the depths of my own revelation. My heart raced to race after them as fear slipped momentarily away, only to be replaced by an urgent realization. I had to confront who I was, both the light and the dark within. Just before I stepped out into the unknown, the voice of the figure penetrated the darkness. Don't think you can escape your fate, Samuel. You are ours, whether you want to be or not. And as those words clutched at my soul, I knew I would need every ounce of strength the woman had invoked within me to truly embrace what lay ahead. The clarity lurking just beyond the veil of chaos threatening to consume me whole. The air in the cafe was still thick with tension, the looming darkness playing tricks on my mind. I stumbled toward the figure, my feet propelled forward by an inexplicable for say a mixture of fear, anger, and the haunting familiarity that threatened to unearth every fragmented piece of my past. By the glow of illuminated profiles and trembling shadows, I hoped to find clarity illuminated within the chaos. But it was the soft grip of the older woman's hand clinging to mine that anchored me, grounding the spiraling tempest of thoughts swirling in my head. Her presence stood resolute and unwavering, a lighthouse amidst the churning uncertainty. I cast a lingering glance back at Hera's silent plea for guidance that transcended words to go. She urged, her whisper swift and filled with urgency. You need to find your own truth, Samuel. Trust in yourself. With a deep breath, I stepped forward once more, determination igniting in my chest. What do you mean? I'm yours. I spat toward the figure, forcing the words out despite the tremor in my voice. Your very essence belongs to us. The figure stepped closer, their voice dropping to an enticing murmur. You cannot run from your destiny, not forever. The power you deny is rooted in the very core of who you are. Embrace it, and you will finally understand. A flicker of doubt tugged at my conscience. Power? What kind of power was it? And what would it cost? I fought to silence the echoing questions that rattled within me, each one a reminder of the vulnerability I carried. Samuel. A voice pierced through the thickening fear, breaking the spell. Oliver, my closest friend since childhood, surged through the chaotic crowd like a beacon of hope. His brow was furrowed, eyes wide with worry as he surged toward me. Get away from him, he shouted, eyes fixed on the figure who loomed like a specter of my past, a tempest waiting to erupt. The warmth of his concern enveloped me, wrapping around my heart as his shoulders squared defiantly, positioning himself as a barrier between me and whatever darkness lurked in that smile. No, Oliver, don't. I implored, the words spilling out, desperation rising within. You don't understand. Trust me. I do, he said, a gravitas settling within his tone, solid yet tender. I've been watching you drift away, consumed by shadows that aren't yours to own. We can face this together. You don't have to surrender. The figure's expression shifted almost imperceptibly, a flicker of annoyance tracing their features. Foolish boy, it hissed, arrogance dripping from its voice. He cannot save you. No one needs saving. I shot back, rallying against the overwhelming tide pressing down upon my heart. Not from the past, nor from you. I stared at Oliver, at the unwavering belief standing steadfastly beside me, and something inside me erupted. Perhaps the world I'd known was toxic, its tendrils ensnaring my spirit, and yet the roots still tangled around the most vital aspects of what made me me. But this life I had crafted since those years of escaping was another chapter entirely. It felt less like a prison, more like a path toward redemption. A cacophony of sounds flooded through the cafe, puncturing the ominous silence. The flickering lights above pulsed erratically, throwing blotches of light and shadow across the room. A sense of urgency washed over all present, as if the very fabric of reality itself teetered at the brink. In that fleeting moment, the figure lunged forward, arms outstretched. Your choice, Samuel. The past will always come calling. I felt another tether snap inside me, the certainty of my choice surging forth as I cried out, no. I choose to step into my own future. Before I could fully grasp the meaning of my own proclamation, the ground beneath me shifted, the tables rattled violently, and the overhead lights flickered once more before plunging the cafe deeper into darkness. A single ear-piercing scream cut through the encompassing shadows, igniting a rush of panic that ignited the very air. "Samuel." The panic in Oliver's voice jolted through me as I felt his hand clasping mine, pulling me back to him even as the universe seemed to shatter and reshape around us. "Get out." The figure screamed, a wild fury illuminating their face for a brief moment as chaos erupted around us, like broken glass scattering across a floor. The vintage mirrors hung upon the walls shattered, sending shards flying, glittering like lost dreams. Instinct kicked in, and I grasped Oliver's hand tighter. "Run," I shouted, propelled forward by an urgency that eclipsed every fear, every doubt swirling around me. We bolted toward the back exit, desperate to leave the maelstrom behind as adrenaline surged through our veins. Every heartbeat echoed loudly in my ears, propelling me to find safety, yet the growing realization coiled painfully within. I could no longer deny that my past would chase me, however far I ran. Just as we reached the door, a bright flash ignited the room behind us, momentarily blinding me. I turned around instinctively, and what I saw left me breathless amidst the shards of dancing light. A figure stood alongside the remnants of my forgotten past, their expression a mixture of elation and fury, eyes glimmering with an otherworldly spark. "Do you understand now, Samuel?" they shouted, voice echoing amidst the chaos. "You will always be ours." In that moment, the truth cut through me sharper than any glass shard. I was not just running toward safety, but also running from a part of me that I had yet to fully confront. And as darkness spilled across the threshold, threatening to engulf everything, I knew the choices I made would ripple far beyond this moment. In this heart-wrenching revelation lay not only the terrifying weight of my past, but also the flickering promise of hope that echoed in my connection with Oliver. Yet as we shoved the door open, a more profound fear clawed at my heart, a question left dangling in the air. What twisted fate awaited me if I chose to finally embrace both the light and the dark that shaped who I was? The night outside enveloped us like a deep, unyielding embrace, the cafe's chaos dissolving into the distance as we tumbled into the cool air, gasping for breath. The world around us was awash with the bittersweet glow of street lamps that danced upon rain-soaked pavement. Every part of me screamed to ignite the adrenaline coursing through my veins, to flee from the figure's haunting words. Yet somewhere deep within lay the unsettling image of their face, illuminated by shattered dreams. "Samuel, are you okay?" Oliver's voice cut through the haze of confusion, concern carved into his brow as he gripped my shoulders, his warmth grounding me amidst the swirling storm. His proximity offered a fleeting sense of safety, a reminder that I wasn't alone in this tumultuous sea of uncertainty that I don't know. I confessed, my voice a barely there whisper, as the truth of my wrestling emotions thrashed within me like a wild animal trapped in a cage. "I'm terrified of what? That thing back there. That's just a part of your past, your fears manifesting. It can't hurt you unless you let it in." His words dripped with certainty, each syllable carrying a weight that pressed against my heart. But while I wanted desperately to believe him, an aching doubt gnawed at the edges of my resolve. Was I merely postponing the inevitable? I stepped back, furrowing my brow, unsure of what to say. What if there's truth in what they said? That maybe I am tied to them more than I realize? That some part of me still belongs to that darkness? Oliver's grip softened as he took a step back, measuring my gaze with careful thought. "That darkness is part of your story, but it doesn't have to define your ending. Look at where you are now." He gestured around, the night air sparkling with a quiet kind of magic, barely obscured by the clouds overhead. "You are more than your past, Samuel." The pinch of his words pulled me, tugging at a buried part of me, aching to be unveiled. There, beyond the glimmers of streetlights, lay a fresh beginning, the strands of destiny waiting to be woven into something beautiful. But the figure, their voice, the thread of what resided in the shadows, it clung to me, a haunting reminder that my spirit was entangled in a web of complicated emotions. Suddenly, a burst of laughter interrupted our shared silence, drawing my attention to a small group of people nearby, their joy contagious even from a distance. They huddled around a food cart, and the aroma of fresh pastries wafted in our direction like an old, warm blanket. It was a simple scene, yet it held an undeniable elegancy and innate human connection that seemed to transcend the anguish I felt. "Let's grab something to eat," Oliver suggested, breaking the clasp of silence pooling between us. "It'll do us good to breathe, just for a moment." For a fleeting second, I hesitated. A strange part of me wanted to retreat into the shadows, confront the chaos raging within rather than seek out the warmth of that laughter. But I could feel Oliver's gaze, his unwavering strength urging me to take that step forward as we approached. Voices filled the air with raucous laughter, and I found myself caught between the vibrant camaraderie surrounding me and the uncertainty that blurred my vision. A woman at the cart noticed us, her smile breaking through the tension, her eyes sparkling with an unguarded joy. She offered us warm pastries, saying, "You both look a bit lost in the storm. Here, try these. They'll warm your hearts." The simple act of kindness sent ripples through me, warmth blooming in the hollow spaces I thought would remain forever shadowed. As I accepted the pastry, our fingers brushed, a momentary spark of connection threading through the air. I felt the sweet embrace of humanity, a tether to the brightness beyond the darkness that threatened to consume my soul. "See?" Oliver said, taking a bite and relishing its warmth. Little moments like this remind us that we're not alone. It's not just about fighting against our past, but also about embracing the love and goodness that surround us. I took a hesitant bite of my pastry, the sweet flavor exploding on my tongue, contrasting sharply against the bitterness of my fears. For a moment, I allowed the sweetness to wash over me, my heart swelling not only from the pastry, but the unexpected richness of life still holding space for joy. Yet, moments of light only seemed to deepen the shadows lurking at the fringes of my mind. Just as hope began to coax itself into being, I recalled the figure's haunting words, their keen promise that the past would come calling. The laughter faded as I lost myself in thought, and I glanced back at Oliver, who was still enraptured by the moment, blissfully unguarded. Beneath his smile, I sensed a deeper truth, lingering one that twisted itself around my heart, weaving the corners of our own journey together. I suddenly realized that while we could share moments of light, my darkness was mine to bear, whether I faced it alone or alongside him. What if I am not strong enough to face it? The doubt dripped from my tongue like poison. What if I lose everything trying to embrace the past? Oliver's features hardened, clarity burning in his eyes. "You'll never lose more than you'll win, Samuel. But if you never face the truth, the shadows will haunt you forever. You owe it to yourself and to those who care about you to step into the light." However terrifying that may be, as hope and despair danced together within me, the laughter around us morphed into an echo in the night, and that echo carried a warning I couldn't shake. No amount of sweetness could drown out the truth that waited in the shadows. My heart thumped heavily, each beat a reminder that I stood on a precipice, tangled between what I longed for and the haunting past that echoed, waiting for its chance to reclaim me. And as we turned to leave the food cart, I couldn't escape the shiver running down my spine, the harsh reminder that the past was a mere breath away, lurking in the darkness, preparing to unearth itself once more. In my determination to embrace both light and dark, I feared that the true reckoning lay ahead as a storm brewed silently in the depths of what I could not yet confront. As my footfalls carried me through the night, unraveling strands of uncertainty, a single thought remained. I had no idea how far the shadows would reach, nor how deeply they had sunk into my soul. And despite the promise of light, the darkness whispered louder than ever. The night began to slip away, shadows merging into dawn as I stood against the cool morning air, uncertainty curling around me like mist. With each breath, I was reminded that I was caught between two worlds, one illuminated by hope, the other shrouded in memories I had yet to confront. Oliver beside me offered quiet assurance, his presence a beacon of resilience. "We need to face it, together," he reminded me, concern passing through his eyes, a testament to our shared journey. But the truth was, I didn't fully understand what it was. The figure who had confronted me in the cafe echoed ominously in my ears. My past was not just a shadow. It was a storm brewing with power I yet to comprehend. "Samuel," Oliver's voice cut through my contemplation, steady and warm, trust in who you are becoming. You've already unwrapped so much of your story. I felt a complex tug in my heart, a yearning mixed with fear. To confront my past meant navigating through the tangled emotions that shadowed me, accepting not just who I had become, but who I truly was. Yet the deeper I delved, the scarier the unknown became. "Let's find a place where we can gather our thoughts," he said. The city was beginning to wake, bustling with a contrast to the storm in my heart. I nodded, allowing him to lead me down the streets, each step a deliberate attempt to reclaim control over the chaos treading at my heels. We found a small park lined with cherry blossom trees, their delicate petals swaying gently in the morning breeze, frail and beautiful. This place felt alive with beauty and oasis amidst the turmoil that ignited a flicker of hope inside me. Sitting on a wooden bench, I turned to Oliver as sunlight broke through the clouds overhead. "But what if I cannot bear the truth?" I questioned, voice echoing my inner turmoil. "What if and I'm scared to even say this, I truly belong to that darkness." His gaze sliced through the doubt, suffocating me. "You must tread your own path, Samuel. Darkness is only a part of your story, not the entirety of it. You are the one who holds the power to rewrite your own narrative." The sun bathed us in a golden light, illuminating the anxiety embedded within me with warmth. The burden I had been carrying, the weight of my past, felt a shade lighter as I began to understand the essence of healing. Even as shadows loomed nearby, they did not demand my allegiance. "Let's remember what we do know," Oliver continued, leaning in closer. "You've known loss and heartbreak, and yet here you are, fighting for your truth. There's strength in that, and it connects us to those who have fought before us." The clenching in my chest eased as the grounding reality of Oliver's words unfolded before me. "And what if I fail?" My voice quaked at the thought. "What if I cannot embrace my truth?" "Failure is a part of every journey, but it's how we rise from it that tests our spirit," he replied. "You will not be pinned to the past unless you let it." I examined the cherry blossoms, understanding that somehow, in their ephemeral beauty, lay a reminder their existence depended on both the light and the darkness that formed them. Suddenly, it all clicked into place. "Then I must face this darkness," I said, the weight of acceptance settling over me. "Even if it means loss." "Yes," Oliver affirmed, pride lighting his eyes. "You may lose some of the illusions you've clung to, but in exchange, you will gain pieces of yourself you have never known." As full daylight broke, I could almost feel the burdens of yesterday melting, leaving room for the possibilities ahead. Yet still, a nagging reminder lingered, a haunting whisper echoing in the empty corridors of my mind. Before I could forget, a chill crept along my spine, a sliver of doubt coaxing memories that nearly broke me. The figure's voice returned, harsh and invasive, penetrating my thoughts like a dark storm cloud threatening to overshadow the dawn. "Samuel, you belong to you Salways that do you hear that?" I blurted, panic rising once more. The voice calling out? "It's like a ghost, Samuel." Oliver's tone was firm, breaking through. "They can only haunt you if you let them. You control the narrative now." In a heartbeat, clarity surged within my heart, igniting flames that flickered brighter than any shadow. It morphed my fear into purposea realization that I held the brush in the painting of my life. The colors were mine to choose. "Then we must prepare," I declared, determination surging. "I want to face them, to reclaim what they took." Days turned to weeks as I trained alongside Oliver, each moment guiding me deeper into the core of my identity. Piece by piece, I stitched together the remnants left in the wake of abandonment, building resilience against the darkness that still whispered fears into my ears that I faced it every night, the chilling reminder of the past lurking just beyond reach, a constant crescendo growing louder until it felt inescapable. But with each stand, every fermenting moment of doubt, I summoned courage, a lifeline amidst the chaos. When the day came, a tantalizing dance between preparation and inevitability, I found myself, once more, standing in the shadow of the cafe that heralded the awakening of my story. Oliver was at my side, grounding his energy within my own storm, breathing life into my fears. "Whatever awaits us inside, remember what you've learned," he said, a calm mantra designed to settle the tumultuous heart within me. "You are never alone." I took a deep breath, absorbing the warmth of support surrounding me, thus dispelling the shadows tugging at my heart. Together we stepped into the familiar cafe, now charged with purpose, the world around us shifting as though time itself bowed to our conviction. Samuel, a voice dripped from the shadows, piercing through the safe haven of light we carried. You've returned. Every nerve ignited as I locked eyes with the figure, strong and unwavering. Furious memories flickered to life, my past unveiling itself. But this time, fear abetted. Am not bound by you anymore, I declared, fighting back fury, as though drawing strength from every moment Oliver stood beside me. You cannot control what I am. Their wicked grin faltered momentarily, a flicker of uncertainty spilling into the air like a crack in the facade. Surrounding me, echoes of strength from Oliver pulsed through the room. You will never need to embrace the darkness if you own the strength that lies within, he added, supporting my resolve that in that split second of confrontation. I turned inward, focusing on the core of light and shadows coexisting within me, giving way for a whirlwind of realization, as though pieces I had stowed away finally fell into alignment. The darkness fizzled, its threat dissipating like mist under the sun, revealing the fragments of my truth waiting to be accepted. That I won't push you away, I proclaimed, confronting the apparition in front of me. I won't deny the past, but I will not let it define my present or future. And as the air crackled with electricity, a warm light illuminated the cafe, wrapping around me like an embrace, rekindling hope that had lain dormant. The figure before me flickered, revealing cracks beneath its veneer, a testament to the strength pulsing within my own soul. My heart beat in harmony with the promise enveloping me. His was not just an ending, but a new beginning, a reclamation of everything interwoven between the light and dark. Finally, I understood. I didn't belong to them. I belonged to myself. Emboldened by my choice, I breathed deeply, preparing to step through the threshold of possibility, meeting the dawn as it stole through the remnants of night. And in that moment, my heart whispered the truth that had always resided within, waiting to be set free. I choose to illuminate my own path. As the sun rose above the horizon, I stepped fully into my newfound strength, unafraid, finally at peace with the vibrant tapestry my life was destined to be. No longer would I hide. Rather, I would embrace the infinite beauty of what it was to fully exist, not just as Samuel or our history, but as an entity shaped by every moment. A smile broke through the remnants of lingering shadows, and with each step, I knew I had forged a connection. The truth I had long sought now burned bright within, a reminder that in acceptance, there lies true power.